You know what frustrates me the most about today's NFL media? It's not the hot takes. It's not the endless comparisons. It's the way certain players get targeted over and over again until the narrative becomes louder than the truth. And right now, no one is feeling that heat more than Shedeur Sanders. A young quarterback, just starting his NFL journey, already carrying the weight expectations, legacy, and critics who can't wait to see him fail. And in the middle of all this noise, Rex Ryan, a man who should know better, just lit the match that could blow everything wide open. He went on national television, looked straight into the camera, and tried to convince the world that Shedeur Sanders is lazy, unmotivated, and disrespectful to the game. But here's the truth, he had no proof. None. And when you come at a player like Shadur with reckless words and zero evidence, you're not just analyzing football anymore. You're assassinating character. So buckle up because I'm going to walk you through exactly what went down, why the media is so desperate to spin this story, and why Shedeur Sanders has already proven that he's stronger than any narrative they try to hang on him.
Tired of boring phone cases? Here's your chance. My Etsy shop is packed with exclusive designs that let you show off your team pride in style. And the best part? You'll unlock discounts when you hit favorite, more savings when you add to cart, and even surprise discounts on your second purchase. Don't wait. Click the link in the description and grab your favorite now.
Rex Ryan just learned the hard way. You don't come after Shedeur Sanders with false claims. ESPN is already facing massive backlash after Rex's comments went viral, and insiders are whispering that the network is punishing him behind the scenes. This story is blowing up because Rex didn't just criticize Shedeur's game, he attacked his character. He accused him of not working hard, of not sitting in the front row, of acting like he was too good to learn. Now let's pause here. How would Rex Ryan even know that? He's not in the Browns facility. He's not at practice. He's not in the film room. So either he's making it up, or he's claiming to have sources inside the organization. But if that's true, then why hasn't anyone from the Browns backed up? Kevin Stefanski hasn't said a word about Shedeur's work ethic. None of the assistants have spoken up. None of the teammates who see him every day have ever hinted at this. That silence tells me everything I need to know. It's not true. It's a narrative. Tony Rizzo, a respected sports radio voice in Cleveland, even questioned it himself. He said Rex couldn't have pulled that out of nowhere, that someone must be telling him something. But that's where this all unravels. If there really were insiders leaking stories about Shedeur Sanders not putting in work, don't you think someone credible would have confirmed it by now? The fact that nobody has is the biggest clue. This isn't about truth, it's about agenda. And let's not forget what Rex actually said. Get your ass in the front row and study. Quit being an embarrassment. He said it with so much confidence, like he was exposing some hidden reality. But what reality? When Shadur got a shot against the Panthers, he looked poised, sharp, and in control. You don't step into an NFL game as a third-string quarterback with 0 first-team reps and make throws like that unless you know the playbook. You don't go through your reads that smoothly if you're not putting in the work. That performance alone shut down Rex's entire claim. Here's the bigger issue. Why is it always Shadur? Why is it always his name in the headlines, his dedication in question, his every move under a microscope? Why don't we hear about Cam Ward being reprimanded for not sitting in the front row? Why aren't there weekly hit pieces about Jackson Dart? Why isn't Dillon Gabriel being grilled on national television about his study habits? The answer is simple, because they're not Sanders. They don't carry the weight of a legendary last name. They don't have millions of eyes watching them every day. And they don't represent the same challenge to the old NFL system that Shadur does. Shedeur Sanders is more than a rookie quarterback. He's Deion Sanders' son. He's confident, outspoken, unapologetic. He's already got endorsement deals, a massive fan base, and a swagger that makes certain people uncomfortable. And when you mix that with undeniable talent, some people just can't handle it. They don't want to see him succeed. That's why the media has been on him from day one. First, they said he wasn't ready for the NFL. Then they claimed his stats at Colorado were inflated. Then they said he was too Hollywood, too flashy, too cocky. But when he showed up to camp, locked in, made throws that turned coaches' heads, when he proved he was studying and learning, they pivoted again. Suddenly, it was about workouts he supposedly turned down. Suddenly, it was about his attitude. Now it's about where he sits during meetings. It's exhausting. It's transparent. And it's unfair. And through all of this noise, what has Shadur done? Nothing. He hasn't lashed out. He hasn't gone on social media to clap back. He hasn't done interviews to defend himself. He's kept quiet. He's stayed professional. He's let his play do the talking. That is the mark of maturity. That is the mark of someone who knows his worth and refuses to get dragged down by the noise. So let me leave you with this. Either Rex Ryan lied on national television, or he's being fed bad information by people inside the building. And honestly, I don't know which one is worse. But what I do know is this: the truth has a way of coming out. And when Shedeur Sanders gets his real shot, when he finally takes that field as QB1 and proves every single one of these critics wrong, it's going to be one of the sweetest moments this league has seen in years. Because no matter how many narratives they try to build, no matter how many lies they try to spread, the game itself will always reveal the truth. And Shedeur Sanders is ready to show it. Let me ask you a serious question. If Shedeur Sanders were white, if his last name was Smith or Jones, and he had the exact same stats, the exact same college career, the exact same talent, would we even be having this conversation right now? Would Rex Ryan go on national television and question his work ethic? Would we be hearing weekly reports about so-called attitude problems or vague rumors about struggles with the playbook? I don't think so. And let's be real, deep down, you don't think so either. We've seen this before. We've seen this movie play out with other young black quarterbacks. The moment a confident, talented black quarterback steps into the spotlight, suddenly it's not about his arm, not about his vision, not about his football IQ. It's about his intangibles. His character. His commitment to the game. It happened with Cam Newton. It happened with Lamar Jackson. And now it's happening again with Shedeur Sanders. The difference is, people are starting to see through it. Go check the comments under Rex Ryan's ESPN rant. Fans shredded him. They called out the double standards, the hypocrisy, the obvious agenda. And this isn't just random people, even Cleveland Browns fans, people who should theoretically want to protect their current quarterback situation, are standing up for Shedeur Sanders. They're saying he deserves an opportunity. Because real football fans recognize talent. They recognize potential. And they can tell when someone is being unfairly singled out. Now, let me be clear. I'm not saying Shedeur Sanders is perfect. I'm not saying he should automatically be handed the starting job just because of his last name or his college resume. But what I am saying is that he deserves to be judged fairly. He deserves to be evaluated on his preparation, his performance, and his ability to execute. Not on rumors. Not on whispers. Not on baseless accusations from people who haven't been in an NFL locker room in years. That's why Rex Ryan's comments hit so hard. Here's a guy who hasn't coached in the league in a long time, who doesn't have any first-hand knowledge of what's happening inside Cleveland's building, sitting there on live television telling the world that Shedeur isn't sitting in the front row of meetings, that he's not fully committed to studying. Think about how ridiculous that is. Rex has no access to the Browns' practices or meeting rooms. He doesn't have real inside sources on Kevin Stefanski's staff. And yet he felt comfortable enough to throw that accusation out there, knowing full well how damaging it could be to a young quarterback's reputation. And when the backlash came, because let's be honest, it was immediate and brutal. Social media lit him up. Former players called him out. Analysts questioned his credibility. Fans weren't buying it for a second. And what did Rex do? Nothing. He didn't clarify. He didn't apologize. He didn't even try to defend himself. He just stayed silent. And that silence speaks volumes. Because if Rex Ryan really had solid information, if he really had strong sources, he would have doubled down. He would have stood by his words. But he didn't, because he couldn't. He was talking out of his ego, not out of knowledge. Here's another thing that bothers me. People keep saying, if Shedeur Sanders was really that good, he'd be starting already. On the surface, that sounds logical, but it completely ignores how the NFL actually works. Quarterback development in this league is complicated. Kevin Stefanski has built his entire offensive system around his current starter. He's invested years into developing that relationship, that scheme, that culture. You don't just blow that up and hand the reins to a rookie unless you're forced to. It doesn't matter how talented that rookie is. Look back at history. Patrick Mahomes didn't start right away. He sat behind Alex Smith. Aaron Rodgers sat behind Brett Favre for years. Jordan Love sat behind Rodgers. This isn't unusual. This is the norm. But the difference is, none of those guys had to deal with a coordinated media campaign trying to assassinate their character before they ever stepped onto the field. None of them had former coaches on national television accusing them of laziness without evidence. None of them had to carry the burden of narratives created out of thin air. And that's what makes this situation so unfair. Because when Shedeur Sanders finally does get a shot, and these same people who have been tearing him down will suddenly switch up. They'll act like they always believed in him. They'll pretend like they never questioned him. They'll rewrite history and say, well, we always knew he had this kind of potential. That's how the media game works. That's why it's so important to call this nonsense out now, in real time, while it's happening. There's also the timing of all these stories. Have you noticed? The negative rumors about Shedeur Sanders always seem to pop up right when the Browns are struggling. Right when questions about the starting quarterback situation are heating up. Almost like someone wants to preemptively kill the idea of giving Shadur a chance by planting seeds of doubt. Oh, don't even think about Shadur. We heard he's not even studying the playbook. That's not coincidence. That's strategy. It's calculated. And it's dirty. Because instead of the conversation being, maybe we should see what Shadur can do, it becomes, why bother? He's not even serious about preparation. That's how narratives get manufactured to control the direction of a team without ever letting the player speak for himself. But let's not forget, Shedeur Sanders has been built for this moment. Growing up as the son of Deion Sanders, one of the most scrutinized athletes of all time, Shadur has lived under spotlight his entire life. He's had pressure on his shoulders since he was a teenager. He's been told he couldn't do it, that he wouldn't make it, that he only had opportunities because of his dad. And every single time, he's proven people wrong. He proved them wrong in high school. He proved them wrong at Jackson State. He proved them wrong at Colorado, where he thrived in an environment that was full of doubters. And he's going to prove them wrong in the NFL. That's why this whole narrative is so frustrating, because it's not just about football anymore. It's about integrity. It's about accountability. It's about whether we as fans are going to allow media personalities to create fake narratives about young athletes with no proof just to get clicks and views. So here's where I stand. Rex Ryan crossed a line. ESPN gave him a platform to cross that line. And both of them owe Shedeur Sanders an apology. But more importantly, the rest of us, the fans, the ones who actually love this game, we have a responsibility to call this out when we see it. Because if we don't, the same cycle will just repeat. And the next talented young quarterback will go through the exact same garbage. And let me say this before I wrap it up, Shedeur Sanders' time is coming. Whether it's in Cleveland or somewhere else, whether it's this season or next, he will get his opportunity. And when he does, when he finally steps onto that field as a starting NFL quarterback, he's going to make every single one of these critics look foolish. That clip of Rex Ryan questioning his work ethic, it's going to age like milk. It'll be replayed over and over again as one of the worst takes in recent NFL media history. And when that happens, I hope Rex Ryan feels the embarrassment he should feel for trying to destroy a young man's reputation without a shred of evidence. But until that day comes, we've got to keep having this conversation. We've got to keep shining a light on the bias, the hypocrisy, and the double standards that plague how certain quarterbacks are covered. Because this is bigger than just Shedeur Sanders. This is about every young athlete who comes into the league confident, ambitious, and unapologetically themselves and gets punished for it. So tell me in the comments, do you think Rex Ryan owes Shedeur Sanders an apology? Do you think ESPN should be holding their analysts accountable when they cross the line? And do you think Shadur will get a fair shot in Cleveland, or should he already be looking ahead to his next opportunity? Drop your thoughts below because this conversation is far from over.